Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video on my channel, Hairliciously. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe so that you guys are updated on hair loss and hair transplant topics, as well as updates on current hair loss treatments in the pipelines. Visit my website at HAIRLICIOUSLY.com to purchase your microneedling device, which is scientifically proven to stimulate hair growth, my low-level laser therapy cap, DHT blocking shampoo and serum, hair growth vitamins, and a few other products to help those who are losing hair. So today's video is sponsored by Dr. Acar at COSMEDICA, Istanbul, Turkey's leading hair transplant clinic in the world. They utilize one of the best hair transplant techniques, also known as the micro sapphire DHI. And basically this technique uses a micro sapphire blade, which creates finer and precise incisions. And because the incisions are smaller, it's going to heal a lot faster. And one of the major benefits is that the redness is going to subside a lot quicker as a result. And if you guys didn't know, when it comes to a hair transplant, the area where the grafts are going to be inserted into is going to remain red for a long time. And that's because of the trauma that is inflicted to the scalp. In my case, I'm pretty fair skinned, and I think the redness lasted for at least like 4 or 5 months. And the thing is, like, it's really difficult for you guys to kind of hide that redness. You want it to heal as soon as possible. And by using the micro sapphire DHI method, it's going to be a lot easier to quickly heal because incisions are a lot smaller. And one of the other benefits when it comes to the micro sapphire DHI is that they are going to utilize the DHI implantation pen, which provides full protection of the hair grafts when they are inserted into the recipient area. And this in turn means that it's going to result in a very high success rate for the hair grafts that are going to survive. You also get to control the direction of the implanted grafts for a natural result. So there are a lot of benefits when it comes to the DHI Sapphire method. And just in a little bit, I am going to go over some of the examples, some of the before and after results from COSMEDICA for you guys to see. Now, before I go ahead and proceed with that, I know that some of you guys kind of wanted to discuss some of the costs when it comes to a hair transplanting clinic. Particularly, we're going to be talking about COSMEDICA in this video. If you guys take a look here, we have 3 different sections. So we have the FUE Gold, which is up to 4,500 grafts. It's 2,100 euros, which is roughly like, I don't know, $2,400 USD, 25 around there. And it comes with, the Sapphire blade, FUE, operation plan and supervision by Dr. Acar, consultation and hairline design by Dr. Acar, result check on the following day, personal companion and translator, needle-free anesthesia. So if you guys didn't know that, they actually have this device which is like pressurized, and it sprays the anesthesia into your tissue and it gets dispersed, and it's going to block the nerves. This is helpful because like when I had my hair transplant, it was straight needles going into my scalp, and you can kind of like hear some of like the crunching sounds. And the anesthetics is, I would say, the most painful part about a hair transplant. It really hurts when they're jabbing your scalp. And so this needle-free anesthesia, I think it's pretty interesting if I were to get a 3rd hair transplant. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But I would like to try the needle-free anesthesia so I can do kind of like a comparison to see how it works. They give you a 5-star accommodation, so 5-star hotel, pickup and transfers at the airport, DHI implant or pen. Actually, they don't include that. The 6-month hair power boost pack, which is a multivitamin that contains like saw palmetto, biotin, things like that. Incisions performed by Dr. Acar, that's not included. And then follow-up day result check by Dr. Acar, that's also not included. The most popular method that they choose is the DHI Sapphire. And this is up to 3,500 grafts, extra 700 euros for mega sessions up to 5,500 grafts. And it's about 3,000 euros, which is roughly like $3,400 USD. And it has everything, but it also includes the DHI implanter pen, which I just talked about. It's going to give you that 360-degree protection. And that's because they actually load up the hairs into the pen. And so when you're using forceps, like it is with the FUE Gold, some of the pressure and when they're kind of like grabbing the hair follicles, it can damage it. But when you're using the implanted pen, it's giving you that 360-degree protection, and they're just inserting into the recipient zone. So it's going to result in a higher success rate, survival rate. And this thing also includes a 6 months hair power boost pack. I would still recommend that you guys take the a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor like finasteride or dutasteride, or topical finasteride, dutasteride, just so that you're kind of targeting the DHT and root cause of hair loss. This one also doesn't include Incisions by Dr. Jar or the follow-ups. And then we have the VIP DHI Sapphire, which is 3,500 grafts, extra 700 euros for mega sessions up to 5,500 grafts. So, 5,500 grafts, that's like, I don't know, like a Nord 6, Nord 7 type of hair loss. And this would be about 3,800 euros, which is roughly like $4,400 USD. And it has everything here, including Incisions by Dr. Jar, follow-up day result check by Dr. Jar. I know that like when it comes to getting a hair transplant in Turkey, a lot of you guys are kind of like apprehended about the fact that, a lot of the doctors don't really have much involvement. But you do have to realize that, these technicians, like when it comes to COSMEDICA's technicians, they do utilize the senior technicians who are basically kind of like the elite team of COSMEDICA. They are selected, they are highly trained and examined by Dr. Jar, and they have to have at least 5 years of experience in the field before they get to join COSMEDICA. And so, as you guys can tell, they don't just randomly choose an inexperienced technician right off the street, which is going to, result in a very bad hair transplant result. So when it comes to like, Dr. Jar, his clinic COSMEDICA, the reputation is put on the line. So they're not going to use somebody or technicians who are not trained, who don't know what they're doing. So let's go over to their Instagram page. So COSMEDICA Clinic, they have their own Instagram page. I would highly recommend that you guys follow them. They post a lot of good before and after results, and they're always updating their page on a daily basis, and you guys can see a lot of the a lot of good information on hair loss, hair transplants. Dr. Jar also has his own Instagram page, Dr.LeventAjar, but he does post some of his, I guess this is kind of like more of his personal account. He posts some of his personal stuff on here, but he does also post some before and after results at his clinic, and so I would highly recommend that you guys follow both of them. But I'm just gonna kind of go over some of the examples in this on their Instagram page and kind of give you guys my insight. Like this one here, this guy had 2,700 grafts. So this guy is a model. He didn't really even have that much hair loss to begin with, probably like a Nord 2, maybe 2.5, but he did lower it into a straight hairline. It doesn't look like they really touched his temporal points, which is important because sometimes it's very hard to kind of replicate a natural looking temporal point. And so the after results, after 2,700 grafts, you guys can see a very natural looking hairline. And he also looks like he opted for that cowlick or widow's peak, and it looks very natural. So this is right before his surgery. We can see that whole area right there, temporal recession. And he has some pretty strong temporal points. And he doesn't have to really worry about that because it doesn't look like it's receding. And then follow up, another nice photo. Very strong hairline, very dense, and looks really good. And here's another shot of the extent of his hair loss, which isn't even that bad compared to a lot of people who are suffering from hair loss. But nevertheless, pretty good results. Let's take a look at this one here. 9 months after an operation with 3,500 grafts. So like I said, 3,500 grafts, he probably paid maybe like $3,400 USD. And this guy, I believe, he did the sapphire technique as well. He has more of a extent of hair loss going on in the temporal points and parts in the hairline. After super dense. We can't really see the hairline too well, so let's go ahead and see if there's better photos. Okay. Yeah, so this guy too, he really didn't touch his temporal points, and we can see a very natural looking hairline. Single grafts in the front, and looks like that part was already existing, so we can kind of see that right there. But definitely a huge improvement. Another shot of his extent of hair loss. And he cut his hair pretty short, and we can't really even see any of the FUE scars on the back of his scalp. And the hair is cut pretty low. And that's a nice thing. Like, you don't want to go to a clinic that is just going to butcher up your donor zone, especially it's going to affect the way that how low you guys can cut your hair. Here's another one here. Remarkable artist chose COSMEDICA. This guy is Wang Yang, who is an international piano or winner of, I guess he's a pianist. Moderate hair loss going on, pretty good. A lot of good density. Looks like we don't have any other photos, but 3,600 grafts. Let's take a look at this one here. 12 months after 4,000 grafts. FUE, deciding on the correct punch sizes and types is crucial and requires extensive experience. So not all clinics are going to use different sized punch sizes. A lot of clinics actually just stick with like one punch size and they extract it. But you don't want to do that. You want to go to a clinic that actually extracts the donor hair in the back of the scalp using different punch sizes, because not all grafts are sized the same. For example, if you have like a 3 hair graft and you're using a 1mm extraction tool, you don't want to use that same 1mm extraction tool on a 1 hair graft because it's unnecessary. It's going to cause superficial scarring, because you don't need to use something that big of a size for something that's only just 1 hair graft. And so the important thing is to use the correct punch sizes depending on the size of the hair grafts. And this guy has some pretty moderate hair loss in the midsection, temporal points. Nice thing about some of these previous patients is that they still have that temporal point, which is a huge factor in really kind of like minimizing the size of your forehead. Pretty good. Yeah, single hair grafts, very natural looking hairline, very dense. And most people won't even be able to detect that this guy even had a hair transplant. Now, if you guys are like me, who kind of know like what, some of the things to look at, some of the things to like compare with, you might be able to tell, but I think for most people, they're not even going to be able to tell that this guy had a hair transplant. And given the extent of hair loss, 4,000 grafts can just make a huge difference. I know that a lot of people, wonder exactly how many grafts that they need. And I think I did a prior video where, oh, that's pretty good, where you can basically kind of like estimate how many grafts you'll need based on the surface area or the area that needs to be covered with hair. And you kind of like draw it out on the areas of baldness, and then you try to calculate how many square centimeters there are, and you multiply that with maybe around like 45 or 50 grafts per centimeter squared, and you multiply that by how many, I guess, the surface area, and it kind of gives you like an estimate. But the best estimate is to speak to a doctor, get a free online consultation. You guys can get a free online consultation if you visit COSMEDICA.com, and they will give you a quote and an estimate of how many grafts that you guys will need. So here's another one, 3,500 grafts, naturalness, high density are always a priority for COSMEDICA. This guy has some pretty, I guess, moderate hair loss again in the frontal region. And then right after, a lot of good coverage. We can see here, 3,500 grafts. Here's another screenshot of the area that needs to be filled in. And the thing is, this guy also has beard hair. So if you were to run out of his donor zone, he can also resort back to his donor hair to add in more density. Pretty good results, pretty strong hairline, pretty dense. And then here's another shot of the extent of hair loss. Pretty thick, pretty good. See, his temporal points are a little bit weak, but you don't want to really mess with it just because he still has that area existing. But if this area were to continue to miniaturize, if you guys didn't have that, it's almost kind of like a dead giveaway that you've had a hair transplant, especially if you have like a straight hairline. Just because if this part's receding and you have a straight hairline, it's going to look very unnatural if you just have something that just straight down. So this guy probably needs to really take into consideration of his temporal points later down the road if it were to recede. You guys can see it right there. It's kind of thinning a little bit. And if you don't have that, it's almost going to kind of resemble like you're wearing a hat or something. Here's another shot. Pretty good results. Let me see if I can find just one more. I think this one, yeah, this one looks pretty good. I might have covered this in a prior video, but this is pretty crazy because you can see like how natural the hairline looks. And this guy obviously didn't have an extensive type of hair loss, but the fact that they actually use these microscopes to really sort out the single grafts and from the multi-grafts, it really shows just how natural the hairline can look. A lot of clinics just don't even utilize the microscopes, LCD microscopes, to really sort out, the singles, the 1, 2, 3 hair grafts, and they just kind of like randomly stick them anywhere that they deem fit. But right here, we can see all natural, all single grafts. And then like right there, like if I were to kind of zoom in, let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, just look at that hairline. It looks pretty good. Very dense, very natural. Hair direction is on point, and like I wouldn't even be able to tell that this guy had a hair transplant. It's just that good. There's another shot. Yeah, that looks really good. That looks really good. And let me see, how many grafts does this guy have? He has strong temporal points, which adds to his advantage. This guy had, let me see, 2,800 grafts. So a lot of it went towards his hairline, but he didn't even have a severe type of hair loss to begin with. As you guys can see here, just miniaturizing on the temporal points. And so 2,800 grafts can just make such a huge difference to somebody who undergoes hair transplant, something like that. And so there's a lot of good results that you guys can compare at COSMEDICA's Instagram page and also on their website at COSMEDICA.com. I would highly recommend that you guys check them out. And if you guys are looking for a good hair transplant clinic in Turkey or even just, you know, just all over the world, I would highly recommend COSMEDICA because they are one of the top clinics in the world, and I would highly recommend and vouch for Dr. Acar. I don't know, as far as like the whole pandemic stuff, the travel restrictions, I don't think they have anything right now, but that might change because of the fact that, you know, we have the Delta that's been ongoing. But as of now, I think you guys can still be able to travel to Turkey. It's a great place to go to just to even visit. Istanbul is a very beautiful place, I've heard, and I really hope that I can go later this year. I wanted to go stop by Dr. Acar's clinic and meet his staff, see some of the work that he's been doing. But we'll see how it turns out. It might change based on how the whole travel restriction is going to play later down or in the next few months. But if you guys have any questions, make sure to reach out to me via email, leave me some comments below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Take care.